you would have seen this session composed of what? CCNA, CCNP ENARSI, as well as ASA Firewall. We had previously a session which was like, you can say that just introduction of it, that what we will be covering during this particular program. So I'll just walk you through with that first, and then we'll continue with the day one program. Is it okay, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Quickly,
Yes,
we'll go
ma'am.
through with that.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Yes,
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 I
ma'am.
hope
yes,
many
ma'am.
of you were there in the previous session as well, right?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
No, ma'am. I'm not.
This is my first class, ma'am.
Ma'am, माझी also first class. Amol Patil.
Okay.
First class, ma'am.
So you can see that we will be covering for the CCNA, the exam code. Yes, it's today is the day one. We just had the introduction overview. So I'll just walk you through with that. Okay. Let's continue now here. So I was talking to you guys that so when we talk about this particular curriculum, so we will be covering what? We'll be covering this the two components out of this Cisco certification related to network. That is what the CCNA and the CCNP. So you can see here the exam code which is being mentioned for CCNA that we'll be covering. That is 200-301. Wherein when we talk about the exam code which we have to cover for CCNP, that is 300410. So this is the certification related to network which we'll be covering in. Apart from that, you'll be able to see that we will also cover the ASA firewall. That's also after the network, which we need to learn about security components, right? So that will give you the fundamental of firewall. So you will be able to even though learn that within this master program. So this master program composed of what? CCNA, CCNP and RSC, as well as ASA. So these three modules which we need to learn. So you will be able to see here what I gave in the last class, a quick review of it. When I say last class was not exactly the technical class, it was just an overview. So there is no need to be worried, those people, those they have joining today. And it's a kind of, you can say that first class only. This is what I was talking about the CCNA curriculum, which we need to learn. That is what related to network fundamental. Then network access, then IP connectivity, then IP services, and then we will be talking about security fundamental and automation and programmability. So that covers what CCNA exam code 200-301, right? So we'll be covering this particular exam code. So moving ahead, as I said that this is entirely related to what? This is entirely related to Cisco certification. So you have all these links available to you. So in case if anybody would like to do what? Anybody would like to even though look at the Cisco program, you can go to the Cisco site. You'll be able to see this particular exam code. You'll be able to see what exactly we are going to cover out of it, right? So it is completely mapped with this. So once you'll be able to complete this, the first module within this master program, you'll be able to get a certificate from networking as well as even though you are going to get ready for Cisco certification exam as well. So that's a separate thing that how you will be doing that. I'll be guiding you during the training time period that in case if somebody would like to opt it, right? So that's a different, entirely different procedure. So when you'll be when you'll be in the middle of CCNA program, I'll start guiding you about that. That how you can go with that Cisco Certified Network Associate certification exam from the Cisco end, right? So that's once you will be able to clear that, you'll be able to get the certificate from Cisco related to what? Cisco Certified Specialist. But that's entirely a different procedure, right? So it's not at all the part of this, but we are actually covering the content related to it. So you will be ready to go for it, but how you have to do it, that's an entirely different process, right? So what exactly as a prerequisite you guys must have the skills available with you before before we start with this particular program, right? So you must have computer literacy, you must have the knowledge of what, how you can operate the operating system, how you can navigate, like example, how you can do the installation of a simple software, how you will be able to connect to the internet. So that's the mandatory parameter before we proceed with this particular program, right? So that's some basic things that I hope everybody is aware of it. In case if you are able to join this meeting, it means you are already having little information about the operating system. You will be able to navigate all those things, right? So that's what we are looking in. So when we look at it here further, so you'll be able to see all together we have 29 chapters inside this module. So starting from the part one of the program, that is what introduction to networking, and this consists of what, three chapters. Chapter one, where we will be talking about a real life, you can say that the example with TCP/IP protocol suite, that how exactly the network is connected. And then we will be looking at the local area networks, which is based on Ethernet technology. And then we will be talking about the wide area network and the connectivity of the IP routing. So that's the basic, you can say that fundamental or introduction to the network, which consists of these three. Then we'll be moving ahead and we'll be talking about the advanced knowledge of the local area network. So this is what you will be able to see until this part 2 and part 3. Both they will be covering what? Advanced knowledge of the local area network. So when we look at it over here, the a person who is actually uh, become expert with this part 2 and part 3, that person will be able to even though handle any organization local area network. So it means you will be eligible to go for a interview where you need to handle the local area networks. So by covering only these three parameters, so you guys will be eligible for a job, right? So in case if already you are working, you will be able to enhance your skills. It means you will be able to control all your local area network, whatever the organization wherein you are working in. Or in case if you are not actually within the job, you will be able to go through with the interviews of this particular part, right? Later, you will be able to look at the IP addressing. It means we'll be talking about subnetting. You'll be able to see how exactly an IP address can be divided into small portions so that we can configure multiple networks and then we will be able to connect them into what? We'll be able to connect them into a bigger network. So all those things you'll be able to learn over here. It means the people they just simply call it what? The basic knowledge of the IP addressing and the subnetting, and which consists of what? Again, four different chapters. So that much depth we are going to learn related to IP so that you'll be able to understand everything related to subnetting. So we'll be talking about IP address, we'll be talking about IP subnetting, we'll be talking about VLSM, we'll be talking about classless interdomain routing. That's even though people they talk about it, what cider or then after that supernetting. So supernetting is also the part of it. So everything. So if I need to mention over it here, so initially IP address, and then after that we need to talk about subnetting, then we need to talk about what the CIDR, classless interdomain routing. Then we will be covering what? VLSM. Then we'll be covering what? Supernetting. So it's everything in detail, which consists of what? Four modules. So everything will be covered inside this IP addressing part. And once we'll be able to learn that, after that we'll be moving ahead within the, you can say that an enterprise network. Let's take an example that any organization is having one particular branch available in one particular city or in one particular country, and they would like to have the connectivity of what? They would like to have the connectivity of this particular branch with what? With other branch. So when I say they would like to have the connectivity of this particular branch with the other branch, So we need to learn how exactly we can provide that connectivity. So that connectivity is provided via an ISP. It means a service provider. So that service provider will be able to connect these two customer branches. So this is available, let's take an example in one particular city and this is available in another city. How we will be able to connect these two cities together with the help of what? One service provider. So sometimes we say only SP, that is what the service provider. Sometimes even though we call it what it is, internet service provider, or as a common layman terms, the people they even though call it what it's a wide area network. So we'll be able to see how we exactly will be able to connect them. And once we are able to learn that, after that we need to look at what? We need to look at the other parameter. What is that other parameter? In case if this particular branch which is available within the city one, and that is what a very big branch where we have multiple local area networks, like example we have this is as in one LAN, this is another LAN. It means in one city itself we have what? Multiple branches available. So how do we connect those branches? So to connect those branches we need to have a protocol. That is what the routing protocol, and we generally used to call them what? They are the IGP
LAN.
routing protocol. So we need to learn this IGP routing protocols as well, right? So we will be learning that in the next portion of it. The first parameter is what? We will be talking about the connection towards WAN. And the second parameter, we will be talking about the IGP protocols. So when we see the example of IGP protocols, they are interior gateway routing protocols. They are what? RIP is an example, OSPF is an example, EIGRP is an example. So when we look at it, what over here, we will be covering what? As per the CCNA curriculum, we'll be covering the OSPF protocol. And then we'll be focusing on to what? The other protocol, which is not IGP, but which is what? BGP, which will be able to have the connectivity between this customer branch to this particular ISP. So how do we connect these two things? How do we connect these two things? Since these two are what? Different organization. ISP is a different organization. This is the customer branch. It's a different organization. How do we connect these two? We'll be able to connect these two with the help of EGP protocols. And we have a very good example of it. That is what the BGP protocol. So we will be learning that within the CCNA, that okay, how exactly we'll be able to have the connectivity of these two. And once we'll be able to have the connection between this to this, then on the top of it, we will be able to lay down a VPN connection with the help of a security protocol. And that security protocol is what? IPsec.
Hello, ma'am.
Are we okay, guys?
Ma'am, this lecture is a recording.
So what exactly we need to learn?
Ma'am, can we get that recording, miss? This lecture or
So we need to learn first of all a local area network.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
This is recorded.
here under
Yes,
part
yes.
2, part 3. Then we will be talking about depth of IP. Then we will be jumping into what? The routing part of it. And when we say routing part of it, it consists of what? All this. Which includes what? Which includes your WAN connection, which includes what? Your OSPF protocol, as well as your BGP protocol. And then we will be jumping towards what? We'll be jumping towards IP version 6. So IP version 6 is the advanced portion of IP. Version 4. Nowadays, if in case, if any one of you even the look at what? If you go to the Google and you type what is my IP address, you will be able to see over the Google that there are websites, those will be telling you that what is your public IP by which you are connected to the internet. So when you get that particular idea that by which you are connected to the internet, you will be able to see two different IP addresses. One IP is what? IPv4. Another IP is what? IPv6.
V6.
So anybody can write down on the Google, what is my IP? Can you perform this particular exercise right away? What is my IP?
Yeah, ma'am. I know Google.
So if you write it down, you'll be able to see a lot of websites are listed,
Yeah, ma'am.
right? Out of which you can select maybe the first upcoming or the second upcoming path. If you select it, you will be able to see, you will see there are two different IP addresses available by which you right now connected to the internet.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
right.
that's wherein you'll be able to see dual IP stack, which is provided by your ISP, so that you can connect to all the internet, maybe over the internet, any device who's connected with IPv4 or any device who's connected with IPv6, everything will be reachable to your device via the ISPs. So ISP will be providing you those public IP addresses. When you're writing this, those IP addresses are being allocated by your internet service provider. So that's the way that you are able to see what everything, be it is what IPv4 or IPv6. So if we once again have a look, what we are going to learn within this first module, we will be learning first portion is what? Fundamental of network.
Excuse me.
Anybody who doesn't know network,
Yes.
it will be very good for them.
Yes.
And anyone who is already knowing the network, it will be very good for that particular person to enhance their knowledge, right? So first thing is what? Fundamental of network, and the second thing is what? We will be learning the how can we work as a network administrator within the local area network. Then we will be talking about what? Wide area network and its connectivity. And then we will be talking about the routing component of it. So when we say that LAN, we are talking about the switching, right? And when we are saying WAN, we are talking about the IP connectivity, right? Over the LAN and over the WAN, we will be talking about the routing. Routing is what? A kind of what? IP service which can be configured over the LAN or which can be configured over the WAN, right? And after that, we need to talk about what? Once we'll be able to learn the routing, after that, we will be talking about the wireless networks. How exactly the wireless network connectivity is there. So this is again a summarization of the module. Once we'll learn the wireless network, after that, we will be talking about basics of security. Basics of
Hello.
security,
Hello.
or you can say that security fundamentals, like
Hello.
what exactly is security, how do we implement it,
Hello.
what exactly is layer 1 security, what exactly is layer 2
Hello.
security as per the OSI model layers, what exactly is
Omri
layer 3
Darji.
security, right? So we'll be learning all those three parameters there: layer 1 security, layer 2 security, layer 3 security, and then we will be jumping to what? We'll be jumping to the last part, which is very popular nowadays.
Hello.
Everybody is talking about it. That is what? The automation. Right. So this is what we will be covering as a first module of this master program. Right. So I can see that somebody is asking a question. That is what Yuvraj. So yes, please, Yuvraj, you can unmute yourself and you can share what exactly is your query.
Actually, ma'am, I don't have a query, but can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we are able to hear you.
Hello.
Hello. So it's just that there are people who are actually trying to talk to her, and they're just when she's not able. I don't know if she can hear them,
Yes, yes, right.
but
You're
they
right.
are actually
Hello.
shouting
Trying from
within the
multiple
class.
devices, so this is only the issue.
Anybody is having any challenges, anything, you can write it down there in the message.
Hello.
So Yuvraj, I've already read your message, right? So I will also request anybody, please keep yourself mute in case if you don't have anything to speak.
Hello, ma'am. Said Jamishir. Can I ask
How
one
much
query?
time? It depends that how you guys are cooperating with me. But as per agenda, if I look at it, what?
Let me check with the trainer.
As per agenda, we will be covering what? We'll be spending around 60 to 80 hours for CCNA, then 40 hours for CCNP, then 20 hours for ASA. So that's what. And as far as if we look at it, what for the timings, we have decided to start the class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? And it will be what? 9:30 p.m. IST. That's what is the timings. Is it okay, Sachin? I answered your question.
Excuse me, we have a question like we heard like
Yes, Pankaj, sure. We will be covering the troubleshooting in real network. With every topic, we have to talk about it.
so weekdays we have daily, right? As per
I can see someone else also have raised their hand. Yes, Raiden.
Ma'am, how many hours it is? And I have done till actually I have paid for.
Hopefully, initially it will be 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. But as soon as we will be moving inside the topics, and the topic is what very vast topic, it is taking what more than 1
Okay.
hour time. So we will be doing that as well.
So this is CCNA NC, no?
So I'll let you know in advance that okay, keep yourself free until 11. We will be covering 1.5 hour or we'll be covering 2 hours.
Okay.
Deepak, you will get the lab access once you will enroll. Immediately, you are going to get an email from the networking, which will have the lab access. So these things you guys can even though discuss with your representative from the networking, right? So they will let you know that if you have already enrolled everything, you will get an email which will consist of every detail how you are going to connect to the lab environment. Yes, I'll be trainer for entire master program. Yes, the class will be during the weekdays, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. So in case if you would like to know about the labs, let me tell you that what are the labs which will be covering with the CCNA module. And then once we'll be starting what the CCNP, you'll be able to see what we can cover within the CCNP module. So can you see now what exactly is the lab we will be covering? Initially, we will be starting with the lab where we have to do what? We need to get started with Cisco CLI. Then we will be talking about how a switch operates. Then we will be looking at what? The configuration of the switch. Then we'll be able to see what are the applications those they are running onto the TCP/IP network, right? Then we will be learning what? The Cisco router will be talking about what? How layer 2 network is discovering the protocols. Then we will be looking at a lab where we will be able to see what is the result in case if we configure the default gateway or if we do not configure the gateway. Then after that, we will be able to see how exactly a packet is what being forwarded from an end device, from a layer 2 device, from a layer 1 device, from a layer 3 device. Everything will be able to see it, how exactly packet is being forwarded. So these all are what practical base. Further, if you see it, you will be able to see that we'll be able to see what are the challenges. Those people will be talking about the troubleshooting scenarios. So you'll be able to see we are looking at now whatever the labs we have seen it until now. Now we are talking about their troubleshooting parameters. How exactly we'll be able to troubleshoot layer 1 connectivity. Similar way, as soon as we will be covering the layer 2, we will be talking about layer 2 troubleshooting. Like example, when we will look at how can we configure the VLANs and trunks, how we can configure the inter VLAN. So after that, we will have an exercise which will be talking about troubleshooting of VLAN. Right? Then we will be looking at what? Then we will be looking at the layer 3 parameters, right? So you can see that here we have the wireless labs. Here we have the security labs, right? Here we have the remote access connectivity, right? So all these things are there in the lab. Everything will be covered in the lab as well. So that's the CCNA module. Now let me know if you guys are interested. Shall I start with some of the topic? Perfect. A lot of yes. That's great. A lot of yes. Okay. So let me right now we don't need anything. Amol, right now just initially you guys can start the session with me. I'll let you know what are the software needed and where exactly you need to get the lab access. I'll help you out with everything, right? So Suhail, in case if you have any challenges to understand any of the topic, you can let me know. I'll be teaching that particular statement or anything to you in Hindi. Otherwise, this is what they are. So when we talk about the exam, I'll prepare you guys for the exam. But giving the exam or the other things, you guys have to schedule it by yourself. So whatever the question which I can read it, I'm trying to give you an answer of all those. Yes, Redden, don't need not to be worried. It will be in English only. Okay. So let's have a look at this particular path. Let me know how many devices you guys are already aware those they are the part of network. There is only whiteboard, so you'll be able to see how many devices you guys are already aware they are available on the network. Just write it down quickly on the chat. I can see all those. I can see that people are writing router, switch, firewall, switch, router, access point, hub, all the devices, those they have the IP address, laptops. Okay. Right now, you guys are connected with which particular device? Some of you are connected with laptop, some of you are connected with desktop, some of you are connected with mobile, some of you are saying what PC. So what is the first device which is which is available on the network? We used to call it what? It is N device. Right? So what is the first device which is connected on the network? That is what the N device. The way you guys are giving me an example of N device, it could be what? It could be a wired device or it could be a wireless device. Is it right or not? When we say wired, there are few examples of this wired device. That is what? A personal computer, right? That's the example of it. What is the wired device? A personal computer.
Like LAN.
And when we look at what? The wireless device as per the end device, there are many
Mobile.
examples of it.
Mobile.
Like example, you guys are connected with laptop.
Laptop,
You
mobile.
are connected with your mobile phone, right? Or you might be connected with what?
Tablet.
You might be connected with
Tablet like mobile.
TV, right? Perfect. What else? Tablet. Perfect.
Wi-Fi printer.
Right? So this is what some of the example of the wireless end devices. So that's the first device which is available on the network. Now, how do we connect this device on the network? How do we connect this device on the network? What is the components which we require to connect this device on the network? So these devices, they have the component as in what?
Patch cord.
What is the first component?
Patch cable.
Hardware.
NIC card. NIC card.
NIC card.
Yes, LAN card, something.
Right?
NIC card.
Hardware consists of what? Many things.
Yes.
Such as what? Very important components, if I need to mention, that is what? CPU. So that this device can have a good processing power. After that, it needs to have memory so that it can run fast.
RAM.
Whatever the task which we are giving it to this particular device, it will be using that particular, or it will be what? Showcasing the result of that particular task with the help of what? Memory, CPU memory, perfect. That is what? Even though the people, they call this particular memory is what? The RAM,
RAM. After that,
random
hard
access
disk.
memory, right? So the RAM, right? Apart from that, within
Hard
the
disk.
hardware, important hardware components,
NIC card and
storage,
hard disk.
so that we can save some of the tasks,
That is SSD
the
and
result which we have
HDD.
given it as an input. So that is what the storage. When we
Important
say
hardware
storage, it
part
means
is
what? Hard drive. So that could be what?
SD card and RAM and
A
processor.
fixed hard drive, or it could be what? A portable like a USB drive, right? So a storage is required. What else we required within the hardware? Very, very important component by which we can connect it to it. Yes, perfect, Jamesh. That is what the NIC. Network interface card. Right? So these are very important hardware components and devices having. Now, what else we needed to connect this device onto the network?
Patch cord or LAN cable.
How the LAN cable and switches.
Patch cable or
The
patch cord.
software components. So what are the software components?
The internet software.
Operating system. Windows.
Operating system. Very important. Such as operating system could be from a vendor called Microsoft,
Word.
right?
Office.
It means the Windows operating system.
Mac.
Or there might be possibility it is what?
Mac.
Linux. There might be possibility it is what?
Mac.
It is Mac. Perfect, guys. So these are some of the examples of software component. Further, good. Girish, nowadays we say drivers are the part of what? Operating system itself, right? So nowadays we need not to install separate drivers. That was the older example. Nowadays drivers are the part of what? Operating system itself. So that's the software component. On the top of it, what we run? When we have hardware ready, we have software installed onto it. We need to run a lot of applications on it. Like example, on your mobile phone, you have what? A lot of applications.
Chrome.
So by which application we guys are right now connected?
Zoom application.
Perfect. Application name, if we need to say it, the application is what? The application is what? Zoom. I've seen the people, they have said the browser, right? So why I'm not taking an example as an application is browser? Because whatever is the application, that every
Room.
application is what? Having what? Two ways to have the connectivity. Right? So whenever we talk about this application will be connected with two different ways. One way is what? A client installed on our device.
And a server.
So we say client-based application. Right? The other way is what? To have the connectivity of any of the application. That is what perfectly said by Girish. That is what web-based.
Web-based, Android.
So whenever an application is being accessed via web-based, we need browser from the operating system. Right? So we have client-based application available. We have web-based application available. Nowadays, almost every application is having what? Both the components available. They are available as an what? Client. They are available as an web. So whenever you need to use this application, you can install it on your system. It will be taking some space from your system, right? And the other way is what? When you feel that your system doesn't have a lot of processing, what you can do? You can use the browsers to access the web-based application. Like example for the Zoom, you can install it on your system and then you'll be able to connect. Or in case if you feel that your system doesn't have much resources such as what CPU, memory and storage, you can even though open the browser and over the browser you'll be able to connect with this application. Right? Now you have the hardware, you have the software, you have the application. How exactly you would be connecting this endpoint on the network? How you'll be connecting this endpoint on the network? Tell me now, what are the things you need it for the network? For the network connectivity? I've seen some of the example, but think from the basic perspective. Yes, of course. Very good, Samir. We would be needing what? A LAN cable with RJ45 connector. So we would be looking for the network connectivity of this particular AND device in terms of what? This AND device is already having what? It's already having a NIC available. That NIC needs to be connected with a cable, and that cable generally we used to say that is what? Physical medium. And there are various varieties available for that physical medium. It depends how exactly we would like to connect to it. If it's a wireless device, we will be using what? Wireless waves, radio waves, right? Or otherwise, in case if it is a wired device, we would be looking at what? A cable. In case if we are connecting it to what? LAN, then we will be saying LAN cable. In case if we are connecting it to the WAN, it depends by which technology we are connected. Based on that, we will be able to define. Right? So we would be needing the physical medium, and then physical medium will be connected to an IC. So that's done as what? The physical connectivity of the network. How about the logical connectivity of the network?
VPN. What you call? Hello?
So the physical connectivity of the network is done via the physical medium and the NIC which is available. Tell me, how about the logical connectivity of the network?
Wi-Fi connectivity. Through Wi-Fi.
Yes, Rajan and the Bhupinder, you both guys are correct. Deepak, you are also correct. So what we would be looking at what? We will be looking at the logical connectivity as well. So what will be the logical connectivity? The logical connectivity will be through the addressing. What kind of addressings are available there on the
IP
what kind of
Physical
addressing
address and
those they are available on the network? So we have to talk about physical connectivity. So physical connectivity consists of physical media and an IC. Then when we talk about the logical connectivity, the logical connectivity is via two different type of addresses. right? Two different type of addresses. And what are those address? MAC and IP. Now, how do we allocate or how do we provide these two different type of addresses to these end devices? First, let's talk about the MAC. How do we provide the MAC address? Perfect, Girish. It's something which is associated with an IC, right? So whenever we talk about a hardware component of an endpoint, we are talking about the network interface card, which is an IC, and onto this, the MAC address is what? Burned. So it's provided via the manufacturer. So we cannot allocate MAC address. So that's wherein we even though call it what? It's a physical addressing. It's a physical address of every device which is connected onto the network. Now, how do we view it? How can we see that what is the physical address available to my system by which right now I'm connected? So in case if you are connected from a tablet, in case if you are connected from a mobile, in case if you are connected from a laptop or from a personal computer, just let me know that how you guys will be able to know. So there are various commands. It depends that which operating system you are using in. So in case if you are using the Windows operating system, the command is what? ipconfig/all. In case if you are using Linux system, it's different. In case if you are using Mac system, it is different. Yes, perfect, Redden. It is ifconfig, right? So like that way, you will be able to learn, you'll be able to see what set of physical addressing is allocated to your device. Now we come on to the other address, that is what? The IP address. So this address is also allocated to an IC only. So the MAC address was what? Burnt. But how about the IP address? It is also allocated to an IC only. So who allocates IP address?
NIC.
It depends. Either we are connected to a local area network or we are connected to what?
Wide area network.
Internet. It depends that how exactly we are connected. So if we are connected to the local area network, then you guys are responsible to allocate the IP address to that particular device. Right? We say that if we are connected to a local area network, we have two different methods. The first method is what? Static. And the second method is what? Dynamic allocation. So when we say static, an administrator or whosoever is managing that particular device, that person will be able to allocate it what? Manually. Manual addressing. And whenever we talk about dynamic, there is a tool available that is what? DHCP. That DHCP is able to allocate that address to the local area network device. And whenever we say that we are connected to internet, who is now responsible to allocate this particular address? ISP. So ISP provides what? The IP addressing when we are connected to this. That's where in perfect Raiden that when we are saying that, okay, get my IP, or we say that what is my IP, we'll be able to see by which IP we are connected. Now here, to complete this particular parameter, that what exactly is required on end device, be it is a wired, wireless, there are some components available, and then we need to have the network connectivity in terms of physical connection and in terms of logical connection. You guys have to tell me that what is the MAC address of your system and what exactly is the IP address of your system by which right now you are connected. So in case if you are connected with a Windows machine, it is very easy to find out. If you are connected with a Linux machine, then that in that case also it's very easy. In case if you are connected with a Mac machine, then also it is a very easy to find out. But when you are what? When you are what? When you are connected with your mobile device, how you will be able to find out? Tell me, what is the method over the mobile device to find out the IP address and the MAC address? No, it's not, Upinder, it's not IMI. Read and correct. You will go to the settings. I want you guys to find out what is the MAC address of your mobile. What is the MAC address of your mobile? Either you are connected from a personal computer or you are connected from a mobile. You go to your mobile. Everybody is having their mobile phones. Check your mobile phones, how you will be able to find out the MAC address. IP will be provided by your service providers. But how about your MAC? Perfect, perfect. I can see that. And the guys, they are saying they can see the two different type of Macs. Okay. Now, if we say that my mobile phone is having what, it means what? MAC address, it means it has an IC. Yes or no? If your mobile phone is having what? MAC address, it means it has what? It has an IC. Since the MAC address is burned onto the NIC. Now I say that I'm having a digital device. This is the last question which I'm going to ask. If I have a digital device, it could be what? It could be TV. It could be what? The refrigerator. It could be a microphone, right? It could be a camera. How do I connect that device over the network? How do I see that this device is compatible or this device can be connected over the network or not? You guys are telling me the method to connect. I'm saying that how I'll be able to see that I can connect this device to the network or not. I need to verify before purchasing this particular device that this device is having an NIC or not.
As like a printer, network printer.
Then we will be able to see it what type of NIC it is. Is it wireless NIC or it is Bluetooth NIC? Right? The first thing, if I have any digital device, yes, perfect, like printer, like TV, like refrigerator, like the any device which is the digital electronic device. Digital electronic device. So nowadays we have the opportunity to connect almost all the digital electronic devices over the network so that we can operate them with the help of what? With the help of an application. Like example, perfect car stereos, even though the tube lights, the fans, right? Even though the curtains, rod within the home, we have it, right? So the even though the lock system, everything can be manageable through the network. So it means every device is having what? NIC, right? So that's what, as a basic thing, we have learned today. That what exactly is the first component of the network? That is what the endpoint and device. And we can connect that end device either with the wired network or with the wireless network. So be it we are connecting it with the wired network or wireless network, we must have some of the hardware component, some of the software component, and then we will be able to see it on the top of it application, such as what? Zoom, client-based application or web-based applications, and how exactly we are connecting them over the network. So we must have physical connectivity, we must have logical connectivity. Now, when we are talking about logical connectivity, we must have two different addresses, MAC address, IP address. We'll talk about how we can look at the MAC address, how we can look at the IP address in the upcoming classes. So right now we just only discuss about the AND device in the first class. Is it okay? Any questions related to the topic which we have covered? Any question out of this? In case if you have, please write it down there. Otherwise, we'll be jumping in the next class on Monday related to what? Related to the network devices by which we need to connect this AND device. Okay, perfect. I can see that most of you are saying what? No questions, no queries. So shall we wind up here itself? Thank you, everybody. And I hope you enjoyed this first session.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.